Hey everybody, this is the Aggressively Medium podcast with Lee and Josh.
Yeah. Do you remember, I was thinking about this, I guess it was yesterday, but we did one of our episodes on Cinco de Mayo last year.
Oh, yeah.
And we wore the sombrero and stuff. That was funny.
That was funny.
The little things I remember.
I saw a tweet that said something about Cinco de Mayo, but it was like it was a funny thing. It's supposedly the Titanic had like a bunch of mayonnaise on it, and it was supposed to go to Mexico, drop off the biggest shipment.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. Anyways, episode number 59, Cinco de Mayo, was yesterday.
Yep.
For us.
Yep.
I don't know when it was for you.
Also known as the day got $600 worth of paperwork for the food truck done.
Yes, yesterday you did. What?
I had to redo my tag.
What'd you have to do?
Tag on the truck was $194.
Jeez.
And then my business license was $412.
That's not bad.
No. Writing checks was.
Yeah.
Handing that money to the government.
The fun stuff about being a business owner.
Yeah, start your own business. It's great.
Start your own business, and then maybe one day you can be rated one of the top 10 bars in America.
Or 51 bars in America.
Or 51 bars in America.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
I should have looked at the article to see what they were actually ranked. I didn't even read the article. I just saw that it was on there.
So, apparently,
give me a second here.
Houndstooth, a bar here in Tuscaloosa, was ranked as one of the top 51 bars. I'm assuming that they did one per state.
Plus an extra.
Yeah, plus an extra. Like Panama Canal got one or something.
That's in South America.
Well, don't we own part of Panama or
we
something?
own Panama Canal. Yeah, we built it. Teddy Roosevelt built it.
There you go.
Let me see what this article says. Anyway, I just saw an article that said that the Houndstooth, which is one of my favorite bars, granted I hadn't been to a bar in a minute, but when I did that kind of stuff, I really enjoyed Houndstooth.
Yeah.
They've got bingo on Thursdays, which is great. Yep.
Shoot.
They got bingo on Thursdays. They don't let underage kids in at all.
That's
all
a positive.
Bars say that, but Houndstooth is pretty strict about it.
Well, you got rounders and they're just like, "Are you 13? Come on in."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you were able to walk up here by yourself? Come on in. Let's see where Houndstooth was ranked. Lord help us. It doesn't have them in order. It's just the 51 best.
Mm-hmm.
That's code for I'm not reading this whole article. they made the top 51.
Congratulations, Houndstooth. Yeah.
It's a
We're
cool
proud
bar.
of you.
I've thrown many a dart in there.
I've never been in there.
It's a good one.
They've got
big.
They've got a Houndstooth to go now restaurant right next to it.
Really?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Gives you to go stuff.
Like alcohol?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I just know we went and ate at Glory Bound the other day and it was right next door. And so
that's one of your favorite restaurants, isn't it?
I'm growing out of it. We hadn't been there in a long. The last time we were there was with you.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. It's been a minute.
Lana was a baby.
Yeah. It's just freaking college kids, man. They ruin everything.
Yeah. And gay managers.
Ooh.
Just ruin it all. That's not an opinion. That's what happened.
Well,
that's a fact.
They were hopping that day. People have forgotten, which I knew they would. I knew that was going to go away at some point.
Yeah.
But congratulations, Houndstooth.
Yeah.
It's good to see some local businesses thriving in this time of...
Well, it doesn't say they're thriving. It was just a favorite.
Well,
but yeah.
Hopefully you're thriving.
It's hard to believe anybody's thriving right now. Surviving.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how maybe I can get some like PPP stuff.
Yeah.
Just personally.
Well, I saw, you know how on YouTube you'll get the ads that you can't skip after 5 seconds?
Yeah.
They're the worst ones.
Yeah, is it one of the ones that was talking about for sole proprietorships or whatever?
It was a guy in a cheap suit with a dry erase board talking real confidently about how he got like
PPP stuff.
Yeah. as an independent, like as a.
Well, maybe I need to look into it.
It's all that grind stuff.
Yeah.
Just grind.
Gary Vee was
Just
sponsoring
grind. Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Speaking of grinding,
So, that was a good segue. This. Anybody who listens to the show or knows me knows that I am an aficionado of expressions
yeah,
and like where they come from. I like to use them. A lot of the stuff that I say, I just heard an older person
yeah,
say in the past, and I'll use it.
such as
Dead as a doornail. You've heard the expression.
yeah, once.
You've heard it now.
Yeah,
Have you heard it for real?
I've heard
you
it
know
before.
What I'm talking about?
Yeah,
So people use it when something's like dead, or not working anymore. That engine's dead as a doornail. Had never heard of where it came from until recently.
okay,
And it perked my interest. So in like colonial times and like Western expansion, and you live in cabins and what have you, your door, everything's made of wood.
yeah,
Your door was made of wood. And if you know anything about how wood works, if you put something against, like if you put the grain going up and the grain going down and put them together, it's really hard to get through it. Just because like you do that for your door so that somebody couldn't axe it down
yeah,
and kill you, because it's really hard to cut
through that.
through the grain. Yeah. So also in that same time period, nails were hard to come by. So if you took something apart that had nails in it, you'd get the nails and straighten them back out. But with a door nail, it was so tight and wedged in there with the nails for the door that are against the grain, that if you were to take those nails out, they were so messed up from keeping the door put together that you couldn't re-straighten them.
That's what's crazy is one person just come up with that one day. It was like, it's dead as a doornail back in like the 1800s or whatever.
It was, dead as a doornail.
And then,
means the nail couldn't be reused, so it's dead.
And now everyone on the
now it's
in the
just
US,
a normal.
Yeah, but one guy come up with that. That's insane to me. That it's such a. That's that reminds me. It's similar to my dad's nickname, Pinky.
Yeah.
Everybody calls him Pinky. My entire life, everybody always called him Pinky.
I've heard you say that.
And like I would get in trouble as a kid, and they'd be like, "Who's your daddy?" And I'd be like, William Julian. And they'd be like, "I have no idea who that is."
Pinky.
And I'd be Pinky. Oh, Pinky. Yeah, Pinky.
Oh, Pink.
Yeah, Pinky. What's he up to? He's still pouring concrete.
What about Pinky?
So
He's got both his pinkies.
yeah, he's got both his pinkies. It's not something that you would think. It wasn't like he likes pink or something, you know. So
He didn't use that pinky in a weird way, did
no,
he? Okay.
no. He in elementary school got pink eye, and everybody called him Pinky, and it stuck
Forever.
for 70 years.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's funny. You know what happened, right? Somebody put it on his pillow.
Well, I think cleanliness wasn't as
True.
as touted as it is now.
Yeah.
If they would have had COVID back then,
Oh, yeah.
all the people that wasn't washing their hands and stuff.
If you think about it, they did. It was called the Spanish flu right after World War I, and it killed like 120 million people or something.
Yeah.
Not really. There probably weren't even that many people around. But
Yeah, there's probably like 30 back then.
it killed millions and
Yeah.
millions of people.
Well, that's-
right after
yeah.
World War I, which
Well, the
killed
whole-
millions and
the
millions.
Black Plague was all just like dirty, nasty rats and stuff.
Yeah.
And just nobody was washing their hands and stuff.
Have you seen those super scary like bird mask things?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what that was?
Those in the black. That was from
The doctors in the
yeah.
Black Plague wore those, and it had incense in the nose so that you didn't just smell the death.
Yep.
They're creepy looking.
They are creepy.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's what you got to do to not smell dead people,
Yeah. Just
do what you can.
the earth was rotting.
On the when I used to work on the ambulance,
If
If
you
you-
had one of those masks.
no, you would put like a nasal cannula in and just run like a liter or 2 liters per minute of oxygen. That way you didn't have to smell
Huh.
something in the cab with you that was nasty.
Poopy.
A lot of things,
Pus.
not just poopy.
Gore.
A lot
You know,
of-
that's an actual term. Like, gore means its own thing.
yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Like, blood or like something's rated R for violence
Gore.
and gore.
Yeah.
Gore just means like stuff that's supposed to be on your inside is outside.
Yeah.
That's what gore means.
Yeah. The you had some more, was it blackmail?
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
one of 'em?
yeah. These are more
Things that you
expressions
found out.
that people use and don't know what they came from. So, like, to be a freelancer, that means you're like an independent contractor.
Yeah.
That came from the medieval times because, like, you could make a living as a jouster. That the big pole is called a lance. So you were a freelancer.
Gotcha. So
That you would just go to those
work.
tournaments. You're not representing like a castle or of town,
A family or
a crest. You did, but
Yeah.
you just jousted for a living, and so you would just go around free lancing.
that's another like odd, just like somebody just was one day like, hey, you're a freelancer.
Yeah. After
then-
there were no jousters anymore.
And somebody was like, oh,
And
well,
it just stuck.
you freelance.
Oh, like you
What are
make
talking- I've never
cabinets for a
jousted
living.
in my life.
You make cabinets for a living.
Yeah.
You're a freelancer.
Can you imagine being the guy that's trying to get that started though, and like half of the people you walk up to, like you'd be like, "Oh, you freelance," and he'd be like, "No, I'm not a jouster."
Think of how many generations that had to stay a thing after jousting.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
100. Yeah.
2 or 3.
You want to know about blackmail?
Yeah.
It's also a medieval jousting thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to joust back then,
Yeah.
if
I would win
if somehow I won,
somehow.
your
Miracle.
horse tripped,
Yeah.
whatever.
It'd have to be.
The winner gets the other person's
Chainmail.
their armor.
Yeah.
And so how you'd make a little extra money is after the fight, I'd sell it back to you.
Ah.
So but it's called blackmail because you know how like back in the day, if you see movies about medieval times or whatever, it's all silver, like armor.
Yeah.
If you don't ever get any wear and tear on it and you're just polishing it up all the time, it looks black.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And so if you don't have a lot of wear and tear on your stuff, that means you probably weren't very good. You didn't do it very much. You just had nice
So
armor.
you're gonna get blackmailed a lot.
So me beating you because you're a bad jouster and then I sell you back your blackmail because it's not used much is like, that's where the blackmail, like I have your stuff and I'll sell it back to you.
Yeah.
That's where blackmail
That's
came
interesting.
from.
You don't. So,
I love them. I love expressions.
So you don't have to say what it is.
Oh.
Is there something that you've done in your life that somebody could legitimately blackmail you for? Like they would be like, "Hey, you remember when?"
I've got a video of X.
Or anything. Or like, "Hey, I've got evidence that you." I do.
Not anything big, but yeah. There's a lot
something
of
that
there's a
would just
lot
be
of
like,
gray area stuff that like I could be in trouble for like $100 for.
Oh, okay.
Not theft. It's kind of
But something like that, you'd just be like, whatever.
Yeah, nothing big.
Yeah. I've got one thing.
For whatever reason, the first thing that this isn't even that big a deal.
Yeah.
Whatever popped into my head was in college when I worked at Jimmy John's.
Mm-hmm.
We would purposefully make sandwiches wrong.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me about that.
And then the people, we'd hand it, and then they'd open it up, and they'd be like, oh, this has a bunch of mayonnaise on it. I said, no mayo. and be like, oh, well, we'll make you another one. Instead of throwing it away, I would just put it underneath the fridge and then take it home with me at the end of the day.
Jimmy John's, if you're listening.
That's why I said like $100. Like, what are you going to get me on?
Yeah.
I feel like there might be statute of limitations up on that. But that kind of stuff and just like skimping on certain things with jobs. Oh, at the pool store. I'd be, I could.
I think if the Tuscaloosa News knew how
many YouTube videos you watched,
how many hours of YouTube videos I watched, they could get me on like, fraud or something.
When we first came into contact with each other, that was how I knew who you were. Like that's how if somebody, we weren't friends yet, but we were like. Our circles were kind of overlapping.
You'd be like, that's the guy that watches YouTube videos.
And they'd be like,
all
Josh
day.
did this. And be like, is that? And they'd be like, the guy that works at Tuscaloosa News. Be like, oh, the guy that watches a ton of YouTube videos at work. That was like how I knew who you were.
Really? You legitimately would say that? The guy that watches a lot of YouTube videos?
Because you said that somewhere.
Yeah.
And we didn't know who each other were very well.
That's funny.
How. I'm like, oh, that's the guy that's committing fraud. No. I don't know why that was I do that with everybody, though.
Yeah.
Because I might not know anybody's name, but I'll know like 10 things about them.
What's funny is I love hearing stories about myself that other people have, because I've said so many ridiculous things over the years that I have no way of keeping track with. Like half the stuff people say, I'm like, that sounds like something I would say. I get to laugh about it again, which is fun for me. But somebody told me a story the other day. I was at my doctor's office and he was like, hey, do you know so-and-so? I was like, oh yeah, I used to work with him. And he said that I was always like really sarcastic.
Yep.
He had a story about you. And I was like, I am excited to hear what this story is. And apparently he said, I used to do this all the time. Like me and this guy worked at the same, we both worked at Replays, and he would be coming, I would have the day shift and then he would have the night shift or the afternoon shift, whatever you want to call it. And he would be coming to relieve me so that I could leave. And as I was leaving, I would say, hey, we're going to the movies tonight at 5 if you want to come. Knowing that he had work.
And he just Joshy thing.
I was like, yeah, man, I like that.
I did that.
I
thought it was sharp back then.
It was, apparently it was something that stuck with the guy for 8-9 years. So
here, this is like cringy, but it's the same lines.
Is it about me?
No,
it's about you.
Yeah. So you know, Guy.
Yeah.
Abel. He was one of my groomsmen.
Yeah.
And so at the rehearsal dinner before our wedding, he gave a speech, and we're in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So this is like mostly Anna's people.
Highfalutin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was gassing me up like you do at those, and then was going to be funny and told a story that how he remembers one of the funniest things I said was naked instead of naked. Naked like that.
Yeah.
And he did it like that. Crickets. And it was funny.
Yeah.
It was fun. Our table laughed.
Yeah.
But like crickets.
Well, you remember
your poop slideshow.
So
that was cringeworthy to me, and I know you well. But that guy's great.
Yeah.
He made the mistake that a lot of like social media influencers make, like comedy guys.
Yeah.
Their stuff is just like a little bit too long. Like his was probably 15 slides.
He had a lot of material.
You drop that down to 10 slides, and you'll probably get out of there pretty clean.
Yeah. So for those of you that are listening, at my rehearsal dinner, a buddy of mine,
I want to plug my ears.
he didn't do social media. He was against social media. He said, but I will do social media in my own way. And if you want to be a part of it, you can. But the only way that I'm going to follow you or refollow you or anything is if you abide by the same rules that I do. And so what it started out was a Twitter. And it was like you would have your name and then poops. So mine was at Josh Poops. And you could only tweet when you were sitting down pooping. That was the only time that you could. And so it made you're not posting all the time unless you've got like Crohn's disease or something.
Yeah.
But like
IBS.
Yeah, IBS. So it was really interesting because you would always like, it was just funny things between like a group of guys. It was a pretty fun little thing. But then Snapchat came around. And so we had what was called the poop loop. Like you're only Snapchatting people when you're pooping. And it was this like group of guys. Well, then Chad, my buddy, gets up and he has, like you said, probably 30 slides of me screenshotted just sitting on the toilet.
And it's not of the poop. It's just
It'd be like, but you can obviously
doing
tell
a selfie
somebody's in the bathroom sitting down on the
with
toilet.
the little funny one-liner.
Yeah.
Underneath it.
And then like you would draw stuff sometimes.
He went through it like a college class slideshow.
Yeah. Well, he's a professor, so
yeah,
makes sense.
Explaining everything and like.
And my father-in-law and mother-in-law and grandmother-in-law were all just sitting there, and I looked over at one point and didn't see any of them laughing. Everybody on my side of the family and my friends was laughing pretty good that I could tell. But like, and I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Well,
I told everybody, I said, look, floodgates are open. Say whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And not in a million years would I have guessed that it was so funny.
Yeah.
But it was slightly embarrassing.
Because
it's hard to embarrass me.
I even led with my toast or speech or whatever with, now me and Josh are close, but we're not poop pig close.
Yeah.
Like that's,
oh man.
that was
fun.
Yeah.
Just the embarrassment of all of your new family seeing you on the toilet.
Yeah.
About 30 or 40 times. It was great.
I don't like it when people do this on podcasts or interviews and stuff, but I'll tell you about the most embarrassing speech I gave and said the wrong thing. And it went over okay at the rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
But I don't go 24 hours without thinking about it.
Really?
Still, I'll tell you about it after the podcast because I don't know.
After the
I don't know if
podcast.
I have permission to talk about it.
Oh gosh.
It was so embarrassing.
Well, I'm excited to hear about it.
I don't like when people do that when they bring up a story and then can't talk about it.
I can't talk about it. Yeah.
But if you were at a recent wedding where I gave a toast to the rehearsal dinner, you know what I'm talking about. For people that are listening, it was recent.
Dang.
Yeah, it was awful.
Well,
anyhow,
it happens.
Yeah.
Talk about.
Where are we at? I'm about to say I don't know about almond milk.
Yeah, do you know how almond milk's made?
They just mash it and get the juice out of it. They don't milk it.
No, so they shake the tree. They got this big machine that comes around and grabs a hold of the tree and shakes it up. They get all the nuts out, and then they just blend it. And they just keep blending it.
Yeah.
No, they just keep blending it.
Until it's liquid?
Until it's liquid. And then they mix it with water.
There's got to be a strainer in there.
I mean, I'm sure that
there's a sieve involved.
I'm sure there's a sieve involved at some point, but like it's literally like they're just grinding it and grinding it and grinding it until it's just
it's just almond.
Just stop calling it milk because it's not milk.
Right.
Call it almond juice or almond
soy milk. All that's not milk.
But
none of it's milk.
I know. It just when I saw a video of how it was made, I wasn't disgusted at the way that it's made, but I was disgusted that like there's no like
that's false advertising.
Yeah, like if you squeeze it really hard,
the juice comes out.
Well, if that's what it was, I would be okay with you calling it milk.
Yeah, it's just pureed almonds mixed with water.
Yeah. It frustrates me.
You didn't know that already? Did you think they like milked them?
No, I thought they squeezed it.
Oh,
and then the milk came out. Like that's it was like a pressure thing.
Yeah. They just squeeze the juice out of it.
Yeah, but no, it's just puree, and it just upsets me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, because I don't know about all nuts, but like pecans, you can squeeze a pecan and like drip liquid off of it. I've done it.
Okay,
we've got 3 pecan trees in our yard, and I picked pecans for the first time this past season, and like once you crack it open and get they look like brains. You can mash those with your fingers and liquid comes out. Yeah.
I've picked a lot of pecans in my life, and I've never squeezed one though.
Next time you have one, you don't have to do it hard. You just in your fingers squeeze it, and like there's juice all over your fingers. Yeah, tweak them. Yeah, pecan.
With this,
If that's how you like to do it, yeah.
a little bit of that.
It depends on the nut, I guess, if they like that or not.
Speaking of nutty, Bill Gates
Man.
and his wife are divorced, but not really.
Yeah, it's called a gray divorce.
I'd never heard of this before.
I saw an article that had gray divorce in it. So, especially with like highfalutin people or like rich, like God rich folks.
Yeah, like Bill Gates.
You get a divorce, but you don't like, and I guess you're still separated, which is not hard to separate if you have 15 homes, but
I don't consider you separated if you're going on vacation with each other.
They got too many secrets. This is my theory.
Okay.
Google the truth about the Gates Foundation, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. What is that?
Boy.
Well, just like
They get kids in Africa sick and then practice vaccines on them. It's like lab testing, but on humans. And the Gates Foundation put together a summit of the biggest business people in the world, like 6 months before COVID, and ran a scenario like the Model UN for kids, but with adults on what to do if we have a global pandemic. 6 months before COVID hit.
Did they 2 weeks to stop the spread, or did that take longer than that?
Yeah. Whatever they did in their little meeting, if they went with that, it was a bad call.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't worked. But the Gates Foundation is shady at best.
Yeah.
And Bill knows Melinda or Belinda or whatever her name. I think it's Melinda. She probably came to him and was like, I'm done.
Yeah. And he was like, we can't.
Keep quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can do this however you want. Mm-hmm. Just keep your mouth shut. Because you know where all the skeletons are buried. Probably literally.
Literally, yeah. Because they're supposedly in with the Clintons real good.
Oh, yeah.
I saw an interesting thing this week that was, imagine.
Can we take our tinfoil hats off yet?
No.
Okay.
Because we got something else after this.
Oh, yeah.
But,
okay. He's probably involved in that.
Probably so. Imagine how much richer Jeff Bezos would be right now if he didn't get a divorce.
He would be
like a gazillionaire.
Me and Anna looked at this.
Really?
He's still the richest person on the planet.
Yeah, but imagine if he didn't have to give half of his wealth away.
So it wasn't technically half.
Okay.
So he's worth almost $200 billion.
Yeah.
He's the richest person in the world.
Yeah.
By a pretty good amount.
I think him and Elon right now.
Elon's number two.
They keep swip swapping.
According to Forbes, which is like the authority on like the Forbes most richest people, they're the ones that like keep up with it the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like 3 things down on my recently searched thing. Bezos right now, and this is a real-time billionaire list. So they like track it throughout the day. Bezos is worth $191 billion. Bernard Arnault and his family are worth $181 billion.
That's a whole family.
They're Louis Vuitton and all of that stuff. The makeup, the jewelry.
Where's Elon at?
3 at 163.
Gotcha.
So Bezos is $30 million richer. $30 billion.
Yeah. But so those numbers fluctuate quite a bit, and it's all based on valuations of companies and stuff like that.
Because like this says Elon Musk is down $2.6 billion today.
Yeah.
And that's just
Could you imagine?
That's just a drop in the pan.
Could you imagine that's just like because like I would have somebody walking up to my bed every morning, like my alarm clock goes off and he's like, we're down $3 billion today.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, $3 billion? but he's just like, all right, 3 billion, whatever.
So, Bill Gates is the fourth richest person with 129 billion.
Yeah, he's chump. He's a chump.
So Bezos is at 191.
Mm-hmm.
His wife, what's her name?
Mrs. Bezos.
Not anymore. She got remarried.
Really?
Yeah, like immediately. She's on this list.
Well, she would be the richest woman. She's the richest woman in the U.S.
Mackenzie Scott. That's his wife. Or his ex-wife. She's worth $58 billion. So
he would,
and she's the 22nd richest person on the planet.
Yeah, he would eclipse everybody.
So if you add that 50 back to him, he's $240 billion.
Yeah. So he would.
Yeah.
He would clean house.
Yeah.
If that's insane to me.
Just think of it. Have you ever heard of Steve Ballmer?
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
I hadn't. He's also at Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
You never hear his name.
Yeah.
He's worth $73 billion.
What's he
and
doing?
He's like,
what's he doing wrong?
He's behind the scenes at Microsoft.
What's he doing wrong?
Well, he's not. He's probably not a part of the Gates Foundation, which is.
I would be.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'd be a part of all of that stuff.
Oh well, yeah.
If I was a badillionaire, I'd be like, sign me up. I'm gonna be in the Gates Foundation. I want to see the Walnut Grove or whatever they talk about, the Bohemian Grove. I want to be.
Let me see that guy's island. I want to go hang out at that island.
Yeah, yeah.
What was his name?
Little Kid Lover, 23 or something was his screen name, I think.
That was his instant message.
Yeah, his IM. Dude, I'm telling you, I'd be a part of all that.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy conspiracies, and
we still got the hat on.
We still got the hat on. Don't take your hat off just yet, because I want to talk about something. Sasquatches.
All right. My ears are up.
I am watching a documentary on not Netflix, on Hulu right now called Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's piqued my interest.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not saying that I believe in Sasquatches.
Good.
But it has piqued my interest for a few reasons. The first reason is they said, imagine, we've only gotten like 5% of the ocean, right?
If that.
Like
we know more about the Milky Way than we do the ocean.
Yeah. And so,
or our solar system.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, there's so much uncharted sea, and it scares the crap out of people. But think about how much untamed land there is out there too.
Yeah.
Like they said, you can get on a plane from San Francisco to Anchorage and you won't see a town.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
That's a lot of just like wide open space.
Yeah.
And this guy was saying there was a biologist or something that was on there, and he was saying that the evidence convinced him that Sasquatches are real. Mm-hmm. They asked him how many Sasquatches he thought were in Idaho, because that's where he lived. Mm-hmm. He said 300.
Okay.
There's 300,000 black bears. This was like one of his things. There's 300,000 black bears in Idaho, and they're extremely elusive. He's like, people don't see black bears a lot. They're known as like the shadow something or another.
Okay.
He said, how many times are you walking around and you see a black bear carcass? Not very often. So that was like if there's 300 of them in the state, there's no wonder that we haven't seen them.
But is this one of the guys that think they're extraterrestrial?
No.
Because that's a big part of it. Because some people think they're like mystical aliens, and they can like travel in and out of time and space.
Yeah.
And that's how we don't catch them.
Yeah. They talked about the two groups of people.
Yeah.
The difference between, like, some think that they're like super mystical, and then other people think that they're just flesh and blood and all that stuff. But the other theory, so there's this other idea that came up in the documentary that was, since there's so much like vast untamed Earth, that we're finding species that we didn't think existed.
Yeah.
Of animal. They're not 7 foot tall.
But if you look at those,
1,000 pounds.
they're usually like
salamanders.
a lizard and smaller.
Yeah. So they said this was, so there was a separate video that I watched recently that this girl was like in Washington or something. And she said she'll never go hiking again because of an experience that happened. But she was like a pretty avid world traveler. And she was going through the back country. She was flying through the back country of Australia one time. Mm-hmm. And there was just like, they're going through and you just see like this little plume of smoke coming up. And they were like thousands of miles from civilization. And so she asked the pilot, she said, what's that? So there's probably an Aboriginal people that have like never had contact.
A tribe,
with the outside world. Then she said she was somewhere else in like Bali or Vietnam or something like that, like one of those remote countries that are extremely wild still. And she said they were driving down this little road, and then all of a sudden, just a naked person runs across, and they were hours away from any town, and essentially said the same thing. Well, those are just people that like haven't had human contact or haven't evolved through like we have, like as far as like having shelter and all that stuff, the way that we know it. And so it was like a really interesting fact. There's like, we don't know that much about the ocean, but there's also a lot of stuff that we don't know about above the ocean either.
Yeah.
Like we're constantly finding new species. Think about how many millions of acres that are just untouched. And then think about the cave system in the U.S. Like there's caves that like Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, we still don't know where that ends. It's 400 recorded miles of caves. That's insane.
Yeah.
Just food for thought.
Yeah.
And the thing about Sasquatches is, this was a thought that I had, is nobody will ever be able to disprove Sasquatch. It's not
That's
possible.
how those people function, though.
It's not possible to disprove it.
Well, yeah.
The only option is for it to be proven.
But they call that the burden of truth.
Yeah.
That is on the people that say it's real.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty poor argument to say, well, you can't show me that they're not there.
I mean,
that doesn't hold up.
Interesting, but that's how all this stuff
So
like
I've said this
stays
before,
around for so long.
I've said this before on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There's like less than 50 panthers in Florida, and like 6 a year get hit by cars.
Yeah, but that's an animal, like going down, being devil's advocate. That's an animal that doesn't have the intelligence that a Sasquatch would have.
How many people get hit by cars every day?
Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I hear you.
If there were less,
we've talked about Sasquatch before.
If there were less than that, like if there were 60 people on Earth, like you're saying there's 60 panthers or whatever, 600, whatever it is.
Less than 100.
Yeah, less than 100. If there were less than 100 people on Earth and there was this higher life form that was out there like running in cars and stuff, you probably would never see that a human, because we would be so elusive. But there's no way that we wouldn't be able to like find where they live at some point.
Right.
Like somebody's not.
Supposedly there's nests. They nest like birds on the ground.
Yeah. Supposedly. Yeah. A lot of these reports that were in the documentary were from hippies up in Northern California.
I want somebody with like a doctorate degree.
The guy.
I know.
Yeah,
there are some.
Yeah, there are some crazy people.
Yeah.
That are smart, crazy people.
Yeah.
But like, it makes the world go round, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to do something else.
Yeah.
But that goes along the lines of, I heard a comedian say, it was Joe Rogan. I think I've said this before, but I don't think he's very funny.
Yeah.
Just in general. He had a funny joke though, So he was talking about like vegans.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you're only a vegan because Al Qaeda didn't get to you first, or you'd be in there.
Oh, yeah. You're so crazy.
You're just a vegan.
You're easily manipulated.
Because ISIS didn't DM you before the vegan guy did.
Which there's probably a lot of Christians that are out there that are like that.
Right.
Too.
But the Sasquatch people, like, if the Loch Ness Monster had piqued your interest first, you probably wouldn't even think about
there's
Sasquatches.
A comedian has a joke. I can't remember who it is. But he said, what freaks me out is there's no non-blurry pictures of Sasquatch. And there's just like
Pete Holmes. Or
Pete Holmes.
He said, go, I don't want to stomp on your joke. Sorry.
You're halfway there.
Nope.
But he said, there's no non-blurry pictures of Sasquatch. And that's what freaks me out more, that there's a blurry... a being that's running around out of focus all the time.
He said it's probably they're just blurry.
Yeah, they're just blurry.
I think it's Pete Holmes. Yeah, I've heard that
that's
before.
So funny.
They're like, don't worry about the pictures. They're just blurry.
Yeah, they're just blurry.
Yeah,
like how freaky would that be if you you walked up in the woods and I'd die immediately.
That would be strange.
Yeah, but tinfoil hat off now.
All right, we're taking the hat off.
Yeah,
good.
Taking the hat off.
All right. I did not tell you to put this in the notes, but I've seen two different articles now. So the NFL draft just happened.
Yeah.
And one of the articles was talking about how only like one of the first 6 quarterbacks taken was black. First off, why would you even say that? Because who cares? But secondly, to say that it's racist. And then I read another article that was talking about how this draft, just this one, there were 0 HBCU players taken in the draft from historically black colleges, universities. And that's racist. First, A of all, I'll use your expression. A of all, ESPN, if y'all don't have anything better to talk about, just turn it off. Just y'all take a break. Replay some football game from this, like the first Super Bowl or something.
Yeah.
If this is what y'all have to fill time with,
because
go to some other sport nobody watches and see if we'll get some people to watch it.
An NFL coach or owner doesn't care what your skin color is.
Right. They care about green.
They care
Black,
about making
white,
them money.
It's green. That was one of my points. Yeah. And also, another one of my points is to draft a player
just because
it's not one guy is like, all right, our organization's picking that guy instead of this guy. You know how many people have to check before you pick a player?
Yeah.
So that means everybody in the NFL
is racist. Every single person
down to
would
the
have to be racist.
Right.
Yeah.
But and then also like this isn't in the 60s or the 50s or whenever it was that like a major league baseball was going to take Jackie Robinson from the Negro League. Watch it. That's what it was called. It was called the Negro League. It's not like this is the first black guy that a team's going to take a chance on.
Yeah.
It's mostly black people on the teams.
That just seems like it seems.
And the quarterback thing, the MVP from last year, from the Kansas City Chiefs, whatever his name is, he's black and a quarterback. It's not like we're not drafting black quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. That to me is just a ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
That it's not ridiculous. Like
and did I ever show you the meme that was out? It was a couple of years ago, but it was like 2 silhouettes of a black guy back to back, and one of them's holding a football and the other one's holding a thing of cotton. And it's like, this is still slavery. It's like, do you think those slaves in the 1800s and 1700s were getting paid more than almost anybody to pick cotton? They weren't getting paid anything.
Yeah.
You play with a ball and make millions of dollars. Show me how that's the same thing.
People got to have stuff to talk about, I guess.
Right, that's the thing. But if we're that out of content about sports,
yeah,
just replay something old or something. I don't know.
Well, it's a trigger word right now. I mean, it's a topic that everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And so I think there are certain people that are just like grabbing at straws, like trying, like it's like you're just trying to fill time with something.
I think now this is just a personal theory of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think ESPN and all those, like, it's all about sports. Once they've, go woke, go broke. That's the, so they are seeing a downturn in like eyeballs.
Yeah.
It's because they started getting political and most people, like, I'm coming to watch this game to not think about politics.
Yeah. Because UFC has been like pretty emphatic about
but now
they don't muzzle their fighters. They just say like, hey, let's not talk about politics.
And so now ESPN is losing viewers. So they have to lean even harder to that to try and pick up people that didn't previously watch ESPN who agree with them.
Yeah.
So they've made their bed and nobody wants to lie in it with them. Yeah. That's the thing. Because the people that care about social justice, for the most part, are not that worried about sports.
Yeah.
Especially sports news.
Yeah. They're trying to like get those people interested in it.
Well, because they lost normal people. And so now, okay, we can either just say like, yeah, we were kidding about all this social stuff. Can y'all please watch us again? They have to just double down on the wrong side. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's what's happening. But
it's a theory.
Common sense is common sense. Yeah. That's kind of how it works. Yeah.
I mean, it could be. That could be factual.
Yeah. We can skip mine two next
Speaking of factual,
we're going to do crazy facts.
I got some crazy facts.
I love it when I see that in the notes.
So this is from a Reddit thread that's what's your holy fact? Like when you hear it, you're like, holy crap.
That fires can burn underground for months.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. The Pablo Escobar, we know about him, right? At the height of his success, Pablo Escobar was spending $2,500 a month on rubber bands to hold his money together.
I've heard that before.
That's insane.
Yeah.
A pack of rubber, you're getting them wholesale too, I can imagine. Like, it's not like...
I'm surprised he was paying for rubber bands.
You're not... Also, who's selling you $2,500 worth of rubber bands?
Somebody that... You think a rubber band salesman ain't going to take $2,000 a month?
I'm just saying. Like, somebody's got to know what's going on.
They'd take it from Satan himself if it was...
Somebody's got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But also, if you go back and look at, like, Pablo Escobar and some of those people, you see, like, how much the government was just like,
yeah.
Pablo's doing... No, not Pablo.
Yeah.
He's a man of the people.
Well, especially their government.
Yeah.
Because they...
A majority of Canada's population lives south of Seattle.
Yeah.
How crazy? That's weird.
To go off of that stat, I heard one time that, like, I think it was like 90% of Canadians live within 100 miles of the border.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just too cold once you get up. Yeah. And a lot of that dips down lower than Seattle.
And there's a lot of rugged terrain.
Close to.
Yeah. The further up you go, the more rugged it gets.
And it doesn't take long to get to that either.
That's where them squatches are. That's all that land we don't know nothing about.
Wow.
I mean, imagine, not Sasquatch, but imagine what's up there that we haven't seen. Because there's got to be a majority of that land that's been untouched, unlooked at. Like, people aren't going through with a fine-tooth comb, like, seeing all the, like... There's probably some different, like, squirrel that we haven't seen that's up there, or like, rabbits or something. Yoda and Miss Piggy were voiced by the same person. Makes sense.
Oh, she sounds
kind of Yoda-ish.
It's throaty. Yeah.
So there is a car manufacturer, Bugatti.
Mm-hmm.
They make the Veyron, the Bugatti Veyron, which is the fastest vehicle on the planet. It can go 254 miles an hour.
Shouldn't though.
Listen, but it's not because the engine can't go any faster. It's because the tires will explode if they go any faster
With
than
the
that.
heat.
Just the centrifugal force.
Put NASCAR tires on them. Well, they don't go 250.
They don't go 250 miles an hour either. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I can't remember what the top speed. There's a theoretical top speed of a car based on aerodynamics and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't go over that. But in the UK, 12.8% of 4 and 5 year olds are obese.
Yeah.
How you haven't been alive that long? How you gain that much weight in that 4 years?
Processed food.
Well, you probably
It's probably as higher here.
But I feel like I could feed Jason as much food as I could throw at him, and he would be the weight that he is now.
It's
probably
diet
gained.
and genetics.
Yeah.
So as we've been eating more processed food,
Mm-hmm.
which the forefront of that, the worst thing you can eat is vegetable oil.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what everything is coated in.
So our bodies don't do that. And so kids especially are now
more susceptible to that.
And so they're more susceptible and eat more of it.
Yeah.
So
because it's everything. Yeah. If you are cleaning a vacuum, you are the vacuum cleaner.
I like it.
Because you're cleaning the vacuum.
Nope.
We talked about this before. Adolf Hitler was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize in 1939.
I believe it. If you understand what he did, how he got to be
If you really understand him, let's hear it. I want to.
It's not surprising that he almost got a Nobel Peace Prize. It's not. I didn't say I'm glad or I'm happy with him.
I'm interested in how you're gonna how you can justify that.
Oh no, it's super simple. Okay, so he fought,
kill a bunch of people.
No. He fought in World War I.
Exterminate an entire race.
That was after 39. But anyway, so he fought in World War I. Do you really care about an explanation for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So he fought for Germany in World War I.
Mm-hmm.
They lost.
Yeah. Can you stop putting your hand like this while you're talking about it?
It's bent.
Look, I'm getting triggered.
Anyways.
It still feels like there's a little bit of it, but
I'm over here doing this. Anyway. So Germany lost the war and then also got hit with devastating sanctions because of starting the First World War.
Yeah.
The rest of the planet said, you're paying us back.
Yeah.
So he used that and mixed it with nationalism and some of his specific thoughts that weren't necessarily thought by everybody in Germany. How he came to power is he gave everybody in Germany whatever they wanted. And I mean by he raised the minimum wage, he gave everybody health insurance, he gave every single adult got a Volkswagen. And
you could do a Jetta.
He changed working was full time was less hours, and you could go on vacation whenever you wanted. So he told Germany, I will do all this stuff for you because the world hates us. Y'all follow me. I'll take care of us.
Not the Jews, though.
Well, that was after the fact. But that's how because a lot of people ask, like, how in the world did Hitler get in charge?
Yeah.
He wasn't spouting off all the Jew hate and stuff at the beginning. Well, he actually was. Not the extermination of Jews, but he blamed
the Jewish people
for
causing those problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nobody in Europe was real fired up about Jews. It wasn't just Germany. Like other countries had the same kind of thoughts about them. But he twisted that into, we'll fix Germany and make it the best country in the world again.
Get Jews out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not gas them, but eradicate them.
Yeah.
Move them out.
Yeah. Kill them.
Excommunicate them. That came later.
Yeah.
But after everybody was all hook, line, and sinker with their free car and vacation time and money.
He was like, we need to kill the Jews. And they're like, well, I don't want to give my car back.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You gave me a car. Let's burn them up.
In 1895,
Okay.
there were only 2 cars in all of Ohio, and they crashed.
Oh, that's
They
funny.
crashed into each other.
That's funny.
There's 2 cars on the whole road, and they still crashed into each other. There were women drivers. Just kidding. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's why I can't believe in Sasquatch. There were only 2 and they found each other.
Yeah. Well, they were on probably the one road in Ohio.
I'm just saying.
This one's whatever. Actually, no, I've got one. There are, according to the FBI, in the U.S., there are active,
Unsolved, uncaught
serial killers. 2,000.
Yeah.
2,000 uncaught serial killers.
That's pretty crazy.
2,000. How many is that per state? What's 2,000 divided by 50?
40.
There's 40 of them in Alabama?
Or 4.
Theoretically?
40. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
They're just running around. We hadn't got them. What are we doing? That makes me extremely nervous.
Well,
I wasn't scared of walking around at night until I read that fact.
Well,
Like there's 40 of these dudes in freaking Alabama now.
if you think about it, 40's not that big a deal.
40 is a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, think about how many people did like some of these serial killers are killing like 100 people.
That's
40
so
times
rare.
100?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I think once you hit 3, you can be labeled
A serial killer.
Yeah.
There's a town in it's up north.
Or like Huntsville.
Yeah. Rockford, Illinois. Currently there are 6 bodies that have been found in the past 2 months.
That's a serial killer.
That's like he's an active a little bit. He's an active serial killer.
Yeah.
He's killed 6 people in the past 2 months.
Yeah. Well, you don't become a serial
Why
killer.
hadn't we found this guy? Let's stop worrying about going back to Mars. We got to figure out where these freaking killers are.
It's the first time I never thought I'd hear you say that.
I'm worried about dying when I walk out my front door. Let's find these guys.
To be a serial killer, you've got to be somewhat good at it.
Yeah, especially now. So so that piqued. This whole thing piqued my interest, and so I started figuring out some different things about serial killers. So there were a lot of serial killers in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Mm-hmm. And then there is a sharp decrease, like over 60%.
Is that when we came up with fingerprint technology?
DNA testing. Yeah. Because there was like, so out in California, there were 3 different killers that they were looking for back in the 80s, 70s, or 80s.
Sure.
And it was 3 different sections of California that they were like, there's a serial killer in all 3 of these sections. But then now that they did DNA testing, like in the early or late 90s, they were able to figure out, oh, it's the same guy for all like 70 of these.
Yeah.
And then they put the DNA through like a website for like family trees.
Yeah.
And they found the guy. The
Patton
Golden State
Oswalt,
Killer.
the comedian's wife, is the one who did it.
Who
Figured it out.
Yeah.
She was just like a freelance journalist
Mm-hmm.
and put it all together.
But so with the decrease in serial killers,
Yeah.
there were some things like for the Ted Bundy case, I think there were 30 different police forces working on
Right.
extremely similar cases, but they didn't communicate with each other. And so they didn't end up communicating until after it was all said and done. And then they're like, we could have stopped this guy a long time ago.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the Netflix show Mindhunters?
I haven't watched that one.
It's like a docu-series of the two guys in the FBI that started the BAU.
Yeah.
And they talk about that. It was a good show.
Yeah, I think I have seen an episode or two.
Yeah, it was good.
Now that you mention that, it was on at the fire station or something. But then also like they're saying that like we're able to like track people a lot better too.
Yeah.
And so like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was like you had a lot of people that were moving from small towns into bigger cities and starting to populate all these cities. And so there was a lot of times where you didn't know a lot of people. And so it was a lot easier to be a serial killer back then because there wasn't this like community minded. It was just like nobody knows anybody essentially. Yeah. And then one thing was they said communication was a big one, that there's a decrease in serial killers now because like if there's two similar, then they can come together.
Well, there's a database.
Yeah. They created that database after Bundy. But then another one was just like, as a people, we are different. Like hitchhiking is pretty much not a thing anymore. Women are actively nervous about people around them.
Yeah. And
so they're less likely to like get into a situation where they could be murdered like that. But it was interesting.
2,000 open serial killers.
There's 2,000 people killing people actively.
Yeah. It's not surprising.
Insane. It was surprising to me.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I've given up on the world though.
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
And they also say that more times than not, now people aren't able to be serial killers because we catch them faster.
Yeah.
Like we're able to, like if somebody commits one murder, it's a lot easier for us to find them now.
Right.
Before they can murder 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Because it was something like 20% of people that were tried for murder and then got out, went and killed again.
Yeah.
So it's like we're able to.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous. I'm nervous beyond belief now.
I'd be surprised if there were 40 in Alabama.
You'd be surprised?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous now.
Yeah.
And me and Jason had a discussion the other day about why we shouldn't be scared of the dark and stuff. Mm-hmm. And now I'm thinking that he was on it. Yeah. Keep being worried. Because you never know.
Yeah. I got a would you rather.
Oh, okay.
Just one.
Okay.
And we'll end it with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been told in the past that, have you ever noticed, you're not on campus as much as I am, but you might have noticed that when fraternity guys are pledging to be in the fraternity, like freshmen are pledging, they have to wear like the same kind of shirt, same shoes.
Yeah.
They have rules.
Yeah.
So during that period where you're not in the fraternity yet, but you're trying to be, that freshman group picks like a class president.
Yeah.
The initiation for that is you get your arm broken.
What?
Your forearm.
Still?
So if you've ever seen one of those...
Today?
Yeah. One of those guys that's pledging a fraternity and they all have the same outfits on and he has a broken arm, he's most likely the guy in charge of that group. You know how they do it? They put your arm over a toilet seat and kick your hand, like stomp through your arm over a toilet seat. How much money does it take for you to do that? Now I know pain is your biggest thing.
I've had my arm broke before.
Yeah. But just to have your fellow guys break it over a toilet seat.
Of all, if I'm around people who are suggesting that I do that,
Yeah.
something's gone awry in my life.
And now think you pay to have that done to you in dues. How much money does it take for me to break your arm over a toilet seat?
I want to say like 500,000.
That's way too high.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
I said 50 grand.
50 grand,
Yeah.
bro. That's not even a year's worth of work.
But think, that's 50 grand for like 8 weeks of inconvenience.
It's not
One giant moment of awful.
Sheesh. Yeah, but then you got to go to like rehab.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's maybe I just care about my life more than you do.
Maybe.
I'm gonna be out of work for that time now.
Yeah, but
I will be.
yeah. I will take all that out of consideration. Just the act.
Take that out of consideration.
Yeah, just the yeah.
It's still just like
100?
Like my first thought was 100, but then I was like, that's not enough. I don't feel like it's enough.
Yeah.
Just because that's so, oh my god.
That's
gosh.
a bunch of money though.
It's a bunch of it. I don't know. I don't want my arm broken.
All right. Try this on for size. Instead of the arm, how much money would it take for you to put a toothpick under your big toenail and
have we not said this?
and kick a wall?
We hadn't done this one
I
before?
just curled my toes up saying it.
I feel like we've done this one before. We've said something
We've
about
talked
this.
about it
Yeah.
before. I've talked about this with a bunch of people, but I don't think we brought it up on the show.
That's going to hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I just I have this thing. If I knew it was coming, it would be very hard
Yeah.
to make me do it because I have a pretty high threshold for pain.
Yeah.
But when it hits that threshold, it's such an exorbitant amount of pain
Yeah.
that it's unbearable.
Yeah.
$200,000,
That's better than 5.
I guess. But that's just.
It's not.
That's
It's
all
not
I
like
got.
lasting pain
It,
or lasting injury.
but it hurt. It would hurt so bad
Yeah.
in the What's your numbers?
I'd break my arm for 50 grand.
So what would you kick a toothpick for?
It'd be a similar price, even though it's not near as bad.
Gosh, man,
Yeah.
I can't. Have you. So if somebody talks about if I see a puncture wound or
Yeah.
somebody talks about being cut with a knife, I can feel it.
Oh yeah. I've curled my toes up 100 times.
Yeah.
It's awful.
So this is interesting. Going back to the serial killer stuff, been doing a little bit of research
As we sit here.
Yeah, as we sit here. So talking about active serial killers, or this is the 10 states with the most total serial killer victims. 2 of
California,
them border us.
Georgia, and Florida.
And Florida.
I'm up
we've
to
got-
speed on serial
yeah,
killers.
We've got Alabama's 100 and something. like dead people from serial killers.
Oh, I thought you were saying serial killers.
No.
Ever? Like 100
Yeah.
Well, that means there's not that many.
I think ever. Or as long as they've been however long they've been.
Yeah. I bet I can pick the 10.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. Do you have the list?
Yeah.
California, New York.
You're not going to do them in order.
Well,
correct?
I don't know
Yeah,
of the 10.
Okay, yeah.
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We said Georgia and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Washington State.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Utah.
Mm-mm.
Nevada.
Mm-mm.
Dang. Maryland.
Mm-mm.
F. Virginia.
Mm-mm.
Dang.
I will go through.
Yeah.
California.
I got 6.
California, Texas, Florida, Illinois, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Washington, Michigan, Georgia. Michigan was a big one. I mean, that's...
So most of them are up there.
Yeah, but 2 of the top 10 are
But that's
us.
Atlanta, and everybody in Florida's a lunatic
Yeah.
for the most part. Florida's wild.
Anyways,
I'd like to meet one.
a serial killer?
Yeah.
Bro.
Not in the woods.
I
But
want
like,
them to stay away from me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be up on one.
I've said this before. If I could go back to like my first day of college, I would get an abnormal psych. That's what I would major in. Yeah. It is fascinating.
Man, college is so weird to me.
Yeah.
I think about college a lot.
Yeah.
And I went 2.5 years and got bogged down with all these courses I didn't care nothing about.
Right.
And I think about how many jobs I feel like I would be good at.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'd be a decent engineer
Yeah.
because, like, relatively smart. I
Yeah.
can put things together pretty well. I can figure things out without having a previous knowledge of them.
Yeah.
I can build stuff like the sliding pantry thing that we built, like based on no information, just made it and built it. But like all this other crap I'd have to go through to get to that stuff. Like how many people are out there that would just be like fantastic employees at certain jobs,
Yeah.
but just like don't have the capacity to sit through a class.
Yeah. We need to bring apprenticeships back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
You want to be an engineer? Go follow an engineer around.
Yeah. Well, that's one of Elon Musk's big things is like he doesn't care if you got a degree. He cares if you're a problem solver.
Yeah.
If you're a problem solver, he'll hire you.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. That's episode 59.
Yeah, 59.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for showing us support. And thank you for letting us into your homes and your minds and your places of work and
Your Sasquatch caves.
your Squatch caves.